Alright folks, Mr. Heiser here with showing you how do you make your mallet parts for your pegboard toy mallet. Okay. The mallet's going to involve some different features or ways that we spin or extrude or revolve a 2D sketch. So let's shift over here and I'm going to open up a new part file. Alright, and just like always, select 2D sketch and select the XY plane, and I'm going to start by drawing a rectangle. Okay. And I'm going to dimension this rectangle to a width of 0.875, which is 7/8 for those of you wondering at home, and a height of 3 inches. Okay. The next thing I'm going to do is place two circles right on this line. There's one, and there's two. And I'm going to dimension the diameter of both of these circles to 0.25. Now, if you feel that you want to make your mallet another way, you feel more than welcome to, but this is how I make my mallet. Alright, next thing I'm going to do is dimension from the center point to the bottom, a distance of 0.5, and from the center point of this circle to the top, a distance of 0.5. Alright, so the next thing I'm going to do is select the trim tool here. And I'm going to start trimming away lines that I don't need. Alright, and because what I'm trying to do here is create these arcs that are going to be my grooves in my mallet. Okay. Alright, so it says 4 dimensions needed. Okay. Technically I don't have to dimension these because I have already dimensioned them before I trimmed, but you know, just to double check or triple check, I guess you could say, you can add all your dimensions in here so that your shape is going to be fully constrained. And I'm not changing any of these because, again, they changed them before I began to trim. Alright, so I'm fully constrained, so I'm ready to go to 3D modeling, so I'm going to click Finish Sketch, go to my home view, and I'm not going to hit extrude. I'm going to select the tool up here called revolve. And I'm going to select this 3-inch line right here, and you'll notice that it creates a full revolution of my 2D sketch. It basically spun it around 360 degrees in one full revolution, and hit enter. I have now created the head of my mallet. Okay. So the next thing I need to do, I'm going to go back to my instructions here, is I'm going to place a chamfer, it's called, okay, a chamfer on the end of our mallet. A chamfer is kind of like a slope. You can see here, it kind of takes away any sharp edges that may be there. And our instructions call for a 1/16 of an inch chamfer. So I'm going to go back to my inventor and select the chamfer tool up here. I'm going to change this to 1/16. I'm going to click the top edge and the very bottom edge and hit enter, and now have my chamfer placed onto my mallet head. Last thing I need to do for the mallet head is place the hole for the handle to go into. Alright, so this gets a little tricky. I'll go back to my inventor screen. First thing it wants me to do is select plane. So I'm going to select work plane up here. And I'm going to come over to my origin folder here. And I'm going to select the YZ plane. And I'm going to come over here and click on this plane right here. And if I go to the side, you can see a work plane placed on the side. Okay. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put a 2D sketch. Now I cannot just click on this face right here. I have to actually click on the edge of the work plane, and that's how I get my sketch plane to show up. I'm now going to project my geometry, and this is really no different than what we would do if we were doing a regular 2D sketch. I've projected my geometry. I'm going to place my point on here. I'm going to dimension my point. This will be 0.875. I'm going to dimension my point this way, and this will be 0.875. So now that it's centered, I'm going to finish the sketch. Now before I click whole, I'm going to scroll down and show you. Here's what you need your whole feature to look like. Okay, we're going to change it to a distance that goes down a depth of 0.875 and a diameter of 0.625. It's going to come to a point, and it's going to be threaded. So, going back to my inventor screen, I'm going to select whole. Make sure it's a distance. Select the threaded option. It may take a little bit to show up. There it is. I'm going to change my diameter to 0.875. I'm going to change my depth to 0.875. And that can be done right here. This is the distance of the depth of the actual holes here. Make sure it's tapped. Click OK. Now the last thing I need to do is turn off the visibility of my work plane. So I'm going to right click on work plane and select visibility, and that is how I make the mallet head. Last step is to do a save as, and again make sure you change yours to your H drive. I don't have an H drive on here. I'll just call it mallet head. Alright, so that's how you create your mallet head. The next thing I need to do is create the mallet handle. So I'm going to come up to a new standard IPT, create a 2D sketch. I'm going to draw a circle, and going back to our instructions, it calls for a circle that's 5/8 in diameter and 8 inches long. So I'm going to dimension the diameter of this to 5/8. I'm going to finish the sketch and extrude it to 8. Okay. Next thing you need to do is put a chamfer that is 0.0625, which is 1/16. And selecting our chamfer again, I'm going to select the ends and hit enter. Now the last step is to put a thread on here. So I'm going to select the thread tool, and I'm going to uncheck full length, and I'm going to type in a length of 0.875 and select face and hit apply, and that's how I put the handle threads on the mallet head handle. And that's it. That's how you create the mallet head and the mallet handle. The last step is to do your save as to your H drive, and that's it.